Good morning. Good morning. Hi, this is Stacy. We are Loving My Veteran, and this is Walking in My Shoes. This morning we are going to talk about an interesting subject, so I'm hoping that we can do this without it coming down, the video coming down. And of course, I'm going to instantly download it too, so we can save it to the YouTube channel and to the website. So we're going to talk today about sex, sexual dysfunction, some of the issues that we have connecting sexually with our veteran, or why our veteran has some issues with sex and different concepts in that. First of all, let me do a little housekeeping. The intimacy section from yesterday, there was so much more that needed to be said. That is on our YouTube channel. There is a link on our Facebook page that will take you right to that video. So you can, when you get there, subscribe. This week's project is to download all these videos and do some more intense stuff to put them on that YouTube channel. There'll also be the links today on the website that will take you to them. So please visit both of those. Also, if you've not signed up for the newsletter, please sign up for that as well. So let's get this morning started. Good morning, Sunny. I also need, this is going to be great. Sunny is walking around Lowe's, so this should be fun. Before we get started, let me just say that I have done a lot of research on this, so it is not necessarily my views, but I have to put everything out there. And your intimacy and your sex with your veteran is obviously just that. It's personal. I always say, I don't tell you what we do in our bedroom. You don't need to tell me what you do in yours. That's kind of your space. So, but there's a lot that goes into sex, and it's not just their medications and feeling whatever. So this goes over a long period of research and some issues that I had in past relationships that I'm also bringing to light. So I've talked to, from the spiritual side, I've talked to them. I've talked to therapists, counselors, got some information from the VA, doctors, just about the medication and how it all works. So this is a much broader topic. It's not just about the intimate part. So the first thing we have to understand is that how we view sex comes from our past and from how basically we were raised. There's some deep biblical teachings in that a man is supposed to go spread his seed and a woman is supposed to just give birth. So there's some deep biblical things in that, that's where that's supposed to be. But how we were raised, how we look at sex comes from how we were raised. And that's kind of important to understand, that we all have different views. Sorry, y'all, I forgot to turn all these things off. Let me do that real quick. There, go away, people. We don't want to talk to you. So we all have different views in how we were raised. Society as a whole looks upon sex in certain ways. And so, some people firmly believe it is an intimate relationship between a man and a woman that is supposed to happen only upon marriage. Then views have changed that, we can be free spirits. There's all kinds of discussion about sex and what your views are. So your views as to sex are personal, and they come from a very deep-rooted upbringing as we grow up. That's kind of where that comes from. So everybody's opinion, when we're all talking about, well, my veteran can't do this, or I want this, or I want that, that comes from a culmination of your upbringing, first of all, and your belief into sex. Now, I'm going to go somewhere that probably most people don't want to go, so let's just go there. How many times have you watched a TV show, seen a guy on TV that is hot, that you're like, oh my God, they are so hot? We all do that. I mean, that's normal. I can remember reading the 50 Shades of Grey series, and there were times I wish that the darn book would have been in like plastic pages, okay? Because that book was so detailed, and I'm like, huh, Okay, well, looking at a guy on TV and thinking, oh my gosh, they're so hot, or reading a book like 50 Shades of Grey and going, okay, to me that was not like a sexual affair. That was not a fantasy about anything that was wrong towards my husband. It was just me thinking some guy on TV is hot and me reading this book. I mean, come on, let's listen about Aquaman. He is hot, okay? There's nothing you can do to change that. Carl wanted me to start watching like the Marvel stuff with him, and Thor is sexy. I'm just saying, okay? So we think about that. We think about people being sexy. Another thing that's really weird, and I found this when I looked into marketing and into research. It's sounding so hysterical. I'm sure the people at Lowe's are going to love you, babe. So another thing that when I started looking at a lot of this stuff was, you know, we think things are hot, and we have our different opinions about what is and what isn't, and what's good and what's not. So pornography. Good morning, Jen. Pornography. Pornography is a tough thing, and we're going to discuss that as we go through this. So I know that pornography and sexting are something that we definitely have to talk about. But let's talk about something more specific in the beginning. Let's kind of G-rate, and then we'll PG-rate and we'll move up. Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Okay? Most guys, she's laughing out loud. This is precious. Most guys, now it's like, oh, well, look, the swimsuit edition came out. And so the guys were like, at one point we're like flaunting over the swimsuit edition. The swimsuit edition wasn't done for men. It was done to sell swimsuits, right? Because we look at these models and we're like, oh my God, that looks good. And if I buy that bathing suit, I'm going to look like that. Okay, well, that's not the reality, but that's true. Stuff is marketed in a very sexual way. Our whole environment is marketed in a very sexual way. Victoria's Secret, another prime example. How many men do you think go through? Have you ever stood outside of Victoria's Secret? Okay, you may find a few men in there. You're not going to find men in there by themselves, usually, unless they're buying a Christmas gift. But if you go to Victoria's Secret, it is full of women, right? And if they go with their other friends, they're like, oh, is this bra cute? I like the push-up feeling to it. I like this. Oh, look how sexy this looks. And so if you drag the man into the Victoria's Secret, he's kind of looking uncomfortable. But let's be realistic. Victoria's Secret is not marketed to a man. It's marketed to a woman to look sexy. So we go through this marketing about what is sex and what is sexy. And we have this preconceived idea. Because the reality is, I don't care what lingerie you put on, the man just wants it off. How many times have you gone and you bought some really sexy lingerie, and you come out and you've done your thing, and you come out and you got the sexy lingerie on, and you want this comment about, oh my God, baby, you look hot and you look sexy in that, right? And it may come out of their mouth, but the only thing they want to do is get it off. They want to take your clothes off. And we're like, but I spent $100 on this. Don't you think it makes me look like the Victoria's Secret model? They don't care. So that's kind of a reality that we go through in how sex is marketed. Pornography. Pornography is tough. And I'm going to tell you that pornography does do a lot for marriages, bad and good. There are some couples that watch it together. There are some couples that don't watch it. They think it's cheating. So we have that in our life. We have sexting. Sexting is a tough topic to talk about, and how we feel. But now that we've talked about sex and how it's marketed, let's go back and talk about our veterans. A lot of veterans with PTSD struggle with intimacy. We talked about that yesterday. They struggle with intimacy. So if they're getting close to you and you are their person, and you don't want just hard out sex, you want an intimate, baby, make love to me, okay? And and I got to be careful with how I word this, because I'm more at them taking the video down than I am the wording, because I'm very upfront with what I say. But from the time we're younger and whatever, like, oh my God, you make love to me, make love to me, and they're like, they don't care what it is. Men in general, just the way they're wired, their hormones are like, yes. Have you heard the guy say, well, when they were younger, she's a two-bagger, just put a bag over her head, but the rest of it still works? Okay, so for us, sex is very emotional. It's very emotional. For most men, it's very physical. There's not that emotional attachment so much. It's a physical act. So we want the love and the stuff that comes with it. And sometimes they're not able to give that to us, and they know we want that. So sex with us becomes something we don't get on a regular basis. Or the flip side happens. A lot of spouses are like, he just wants to do it all the time, and I need to perform, and I need to do, and there's no love, and there's no intimacy, because it's a physical thing for them. And veterans, especially that suffer from PTSD, you have some serious lines that come into play. One, it doesn't work, okay? Due to medication, due to medication, due to other things that come on, it doesn't work. So they go through their period of being impotent, and it just doesn't work. And so they already feel in this failure mode, right? And then all their parts don't work. So we tend to just, it just makes it more compounded. I'm not getting red, Damon. It makes it compounded because it doesn't work. So now they're feeling less like a man because it doesn't work. So keep that in mind. The other thing that happens is that the opposite happens, and it works. And they use that during climax. For a man, it is a release. It is this release of all this tension and all this stuff, and they're like, yes, So they do it because it is releasing a lot of stuff that's in them. So that's why you'll have the opposite happen, the total flip. They want it all the time. And just like women used to do a lot of younger girls when we were in school were like, had the mindset that if we had sex with them, we'd keep them. So a lot of times these men think, if I perform sex, she's going to stay around. And so that happens. So now that we get into kind of understanding, and medication alone, by the way, medication alone doesn't necessarily cause impotency. Yes, it will, and it does, but just the experience of PTSD can cause it without having to be on medication. Okay, so we need to understand that. So when we're talking about how all this works and where we get to, I've heard this, we see it, it's in, you can go to any support group out there and it's there. I don't understand. I found on his phone that he's sexting, or he's making sexual comments to some random person. Usually they find them on a site and they're making sexual comments. Okay, they are. They're making sexual comments. I'm not, again, remember, I'm not condoning one side or the other. This is a personal thing. So please know that I'm not saying it's okay to do this stuff. What I'm saying is I want you to be aware what happens. This doesn't just happen with veterans. This happens in general with men who have impotency problems, can't get it up. They will sext a random person from a group they find, or they may talk that way because you know what? The person on the other side of that phone or that conversation doesn't know if they can get it up or not. So now they can have a sexual conversation. They can talk crap or whatever you want to say, and nobody's there to judge them whether they're getting it up or not. So I know that sounds strange, and again, I'm not condoning this. I just want you to be aware that this happens, and I learned this from talking to counselors and therapists and a whole mirage of people. So there's no expectation there. When they are sexting somebody, they are saying things that they're not, one, they don't have to connect with them. There's no emotional connection there. Oh, baby, you're hot. Okay, so, oh, baby, you're hot. I think freaking Aquaman is hot, but I'm not sleeping with him. Same concept applies. Pornography is another big issue. And I'm going to tell you, my views on pornography are a little stranger than most people, so I'm just not going into my personal views. But I remember my mom came to San Francisco when we lived in San Francisco. And I said, Mom, what do you want to do? And she says, I want to see a madam. I said, what? She goes, yeah, I want to go see a madam. I prefer a retired one, but I'll go see a real one. I'm like, Mother, what the heck do you want a madam for? She says, for God's sakes, I want to know the secrets that go on so I can spice up our sex life. I'm like, Mother. And she looked at me with her arms crossed in this very matter-of-fact thing, and she says, Stacey, why do you think we have a VCR in our bedroom that nobody else has in theirs? And all of a sudden, I turned 59 shades of blood red and realized my mama was going to use pornography as a how-to video. Okay? So pornography happens. You cannot tell me that a man or a woman or anybody falls in love with the porn star. It doesn't happen. You don't see these people doing this thing and be like, ooh, I want to love that. No, they're like, ooh, I want to do that. There's a difference. Ex-husband, and I'll never forget this, y'all. This was the most terrifying moment of my entire life. We had one of them big screen projection TVs, you know, the old ones that took up like half of the wall. And I remember coming in and Woody was watching some porn thing, and it was a John Hines movie, okay? And it was on this 42 or 60 inch or whatever it was, big ass projection TV. And I'm thinking, oh, it looked like a baseball bat. Okay, there was nothing sexual about that. It was like, oh, it scared the shit out of me. But they watch it. People watch it. Playboy, Penthouse, they watch it. And all of this nonsense, oh, I read it for the articles. No, you're not reading it for the articles. You're looking at the hot chick. Let's get realistic. Because sex drives people. We market sex every single day. And when you're in a relationship where they can't perform to what their opinion or what their belief of your expectation is, we're back to the demoralizing. We're back to them feeling less of a man. We're back to that. So just because they're sexting somebody doesn't mean they're having an affair with them. Just because they're watching porn doesn't mean they're having an affair. They can't, some of them can't perform. They watch that because they can't perform. And when you're watching the porn and not having the emotional attachment, it's physical, because remember, emotional is already missing from part of this connection. So when they're watching the porn, the people on the other end of the screen don't know whether or not they're performing. They're not having a How many times do you watch a porn and they say, I love you in the porn movie? It doesn't happen. I'm just, I've never seen I love you. But it is about the physical, not the emotional. And that's where the craving is. And then people don't understand why they do this. They don't get the why it happens. So how do we get past this? How do we get the sexting, the porn, create an intimate relationship in our bedroom, a sexual relationship in our bedroom? How do we do that? There's some things you have to understand. One, you need to find out and understand, does it work? Does it work? If it doesn't work, there are ways around it. There are ways around it. The emotional connection, and there are ways around it. Can you still be sexually satisfied? Absolutely. Because I'm just going to lay this out here. I don't really think that any of us have never self-satisfied. It happens. We do it. I mean, not that we can spit it out and exactly what we do, but this is open, honest, raw, real. We do it. So include your partner in that. So he may not be able to perform that way, but he can still do in the bedroom what you need done. Include him in that. They make toys for that. You message me, I'll give you the website. But they make toys for that. They make things for that. So, the physical seeing and then feeling, even though it doesn't work, the feeling of that passion and desire, that sexual part they still feel. So, Sonny, I can't even read this out loud on this. Okay, this is priceless. But they still feel. So you can still do things that make them feel good. As far as wanting it every single day, 3 times a day, because that's how they get their aggression out. That's what they want. People equate sex to love and love to sex, and it's not. Okay? Find out why they want it 3 times a day. Have that conversation, not when they ask for it, by the way. It's never good at that point. But ask them. Maybe to them it's their way to reassure you that they love you because they don't know how to do it any other way. Because we as a society attach sex to love. And we discussed that yesterday. Intimacy is love. Right? So we have to be realistic in where we're at with this. Go back in and read. I know that there's somebody that's in these groups that I talk to, that he goes off and goes to a bar, gets drunk, and goes and bangs some chick and then comes home. I don't condone that necessarily. I don't buy that. So find out the whys. He may not be doing it to hurt you. He may be doing it because there's no emotional attachment there and nobody's going to judge him on whether he performs well or not. There's no emotional attachment. We're already got people who believe they can't add up and can't perform and can't do what they need to do. So maybe, and this came from the therapist concept, that's part of the reasons that they do this. And can I just put this out here, because this is going to totally, I'm sure, like I told Michelle yesterday, I'm going to get kicked out of my own support group for being this blatantly honest. Okay, so when y'all are like, unlike Paige, I understand because I'm just blatantly honest. No, women tend to have emotional affairs. We do. We find a connection with somebody who can give us emotionally what we need. And I'm not saying we all do it, but women tend to have very emotional affairs. And they share with another, usually of the man, right? Their intimate feelings and these conversations and these little innuendos and things they want. We tend to have emotional affairs. Men tend to do it physically. Now, I'm not saying that women don't have affairs and men don't have emotional affairs, but what I'm saying is it the typical mindset? That's the way it works. I'm not saying that it's okay for your veteran to run off and have an affair and sleep with everybody in town. I'm saying you get the mindset about why. Now you can work on the issue. If it's because he feels like he can't perform and there's no judgment, guess what? You can work on that. You can work on that. You can handle that issue. If they're watching a lot of porn, okay? If that's something you can't get past, then you need to address that. But ask them why. Why? Not accusations. Like, oh my God, if you love me, you wouldn't watch that. Why are you watching that? What do you see in that? You really want to talk about uncomfortable? Go plop your tail down next to them while they're watching it. That's a little awkward feeling until you get used to that feeling. And there's some people who watch porn. I'm telling y'all, my mama, who I think is a saint, had a DVR, a VHS thing in her room. It was a how-to video. I about fell over. It gave them new insight. You know, come to San Francisco. Most people want to go to like Alcatraz or the Bay Bridge. Oh no, what does my mom want to do? She wants to go meet a man. Because she wanted to go to the next level. They wanted to keep things alive and sparked. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool there, Mom. But find out their whys. Have the conversation. Oh, get their medication bottles. You know what they're taking? Look at the side effects. Almost all antidepressants, almost all PTSD medication causes problems with sex. Almost all of them. Now, if they're self-medicating with alcohol or other things, guess what that does? It causes problems with erections. It's a depressant. Not quite sure why that's a whole other topic, why we medicate with depressants when we're already depressed, but that's a whole nother topic, and it goes on forever, and it's happening everywhere and not just with veterans, but it happens. Y'all know that mine is the Bud Light. It's his medication of choice. So when you look at sex, we have to look at sex in such a broader view. Now, we have sex in our homes every single day. It's brought in on television ads. It's brought in makeup commercials. It's brought in shampoo commercials. It's brought in, look, how many people, that new Axe or whatever it is, men only body wash, whatever it is that I've done seen 100 times. The man is sitting there in the robe. She's in the robe, all sexy. Morning, man. All sexy, and they all wrapped up in these robes, and he's like, don't use my body wash. Y'all, can we get realistic? We get up in the morning and there's a pair of sweatpants, and we're lucky if they don't have holes in them. You're not sitting there all wrapped up by the fire with the wine and the stuff on a regular basis. Don't use my body wash. Sex comes into our house every day. Get it at the Victoria's Secret. We see it. Look, Even Walmart tries to make their lingerie look cute until they put that oversized Santa like sleepy onesie thing up that's just horrible. But they even try to make their stuff look cute because it learned early on that sex sells. But when you buy the lingerie at the Victoria's Secret, why do we do it? So we feel sexy. Because sex is important and sexy is important to everybody. So find your way. Find your way to be sexy without judgment. Find your way to be sexy without judgment. Don't judge them. Find common ground. Find out the whys. Why? Why? Why are you sexting? Onesies can be fun. Not the big elf looking ones, okay? I'm just telling you, not the big elf looking ones. That's quite scary. I love you guys. But it's about finding other means. It's about coming out of our comfort zone. It's about asking the whys. Don't create a fight over it. Sex is, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I can take care of me if I have to. But the emotional, the intimacy, the love with Carl, the emotional love is way better than the other one. And I will take self and doing what I have to for myself if I can just feel the intimate love. And we all have to decide what we're striving for. We all have to look at what we're striving for. So no, sex with a veteran with PTSD isn't always easy. But y'all, this happens in real relationships. This isn't just a veteran side. I love her. She needs to like do a whole series on sex for us that we have to put on like the YouTube or the Facebook or somewhere besides Facebook. My husband, when I ask why he goes messages, he says he has no clue. The answer is always, I don't know. Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they don't know. You're asking them to say, I don't feel like I can perform to you. I don't feel like I'm good enough for you. And that happens because they don't know that's part of that PTSD side. Man, there are ways to work around this. And it comes with time. And it comes with work. Remember, none of this is going to change overnight. None of this is going to change overnight. My job isn't, I'm not here. This isn't a job. I'm not a counselor. I'm just putting it out there. So you can explore further. So we can talk about and have an open conversation. It's about the realities of they don't always know. Why are you sexting? I don't know. My question would be to you, is it somebody he already knows or some random person that he found? I think that plays a huge role. Is it somebody he already knows or some random person he just found? Well, we have gone over our 30 minutes, ladies. They're all on here at this point. Damon, he says I'm turning red. I will do another video that will be posted to YouTube today. I'll put the links on the website as well. There is a lot of written stuff coming out too. Like I have the files and all that go with this, some of the research that goes with this. Y'all just give me a few days to get myself caught up now that we have a little more focus here. Newsletter went out already. Next week's is coming out as well. Yeah. That discussion, Marianne, is tomorrow. Been waiting since September for them to get him in a PTSD outpatient program. Tomorrow and Thursday, we are going to really talk about VA and VA issues, problems, success stories. I want him there. It's always women. See, women in Korea, he doesn't know them. That's a good thing. I know that doesn't sound like a good thing, but that's a good thing. No attachment. He's not going to attach with her. We're going to talk about the VA. We're going to talk about some issues that we're having. We're going to talk about, Michelle's going to join me live tomorrow, Michelle, probably. I'm going to do it off of my iPad now that I learned how with the iPad I can share screen. I can't do it on my laptop. So Michelle is going to share screen and share some of her stories. Her and Damon can both join us and kind of give us their views of what they've had in dealing with the VA. Anybody else who wants to over the next 2 days, please send me a message because I can share screen and we can really talk about some personal things that you're seeing with the VA and some of the struggles. Because the only way, we're going to get to some resolution is when we come together. And I'm working with the group now that we're gonna literally take it to Congress. And if I have to march my big mouth right on up to sit down in Congress and say, hey, we have a problem. My veteran, he didn't die for this country, but he put his life on the line. And we're all dealing with the repercussions of what happened. And you're gonna do something because this man deserves it. And Damon deserves it. And all the other veterans deserve it. And not only do they deserve it, but we deserve it. And the children who are products of these relationships, they deserve better. So somebody gonna fix something. Because I used to take businesses that ran in the red and make them run in the black. Okay, I'm just saying. And I can sit there with a pen and fix this problem. I dealt with the VA when I worked EMS. They finally got marriage counseling, but unless he unpacks his stuff and deal marriage counseling is the same only once a month. This is crazy. It's crazy. So the VA is a whole nother topic that just gets my blood a-boiling here. But I dealt with the VA as a paramedic and doing their transfers and doing their mental transfers and some of the nonsense we had to go through. And I was at the Dublin VA when the guy shot himself in the parking lot for not getting help. He had spent the night there and went in to get help, and they said, schedule it, we'll come back for us later. And goes out and gets his gun and shoots himself in the parking lot. Okay, so I can just tell you that there's some issues. And we will discuss those over the next 2 days. Y'all, please send me messages of some of your issues or emails. I mean, if you want to share screen and talk about what's going on, please let me know so we can get these in. Because I think that our stories being real are what needs to happen. And like I told you, I have no problem marching my big mouth right up to Congress because I look at the bright side. If they arrest me, they have to provide my medical care, and my medical care is very expensive. So, yeah, I get 3 meals that I don't have to fix, I get a cot that I don't have to make up, and I get my medical care handled, and that's okay. And in the meantime, I'm going to speak up for my veteran because that's my job. All right, now we are way late. So now that I've kind of gone off on my little tangent, Y'all have a blessed day. I will do more on the sex stuff. Probably will put some questions out for y'all over today so we can really start addressing what we'd like to address with the VA issues. Michelle going with me. We're going to pack up our bags and we all going to Congress. Y'all think that they've had rioting on the street about every other thing. You get all of us pissed off veteran spouses all marching on Washington, and it might not be such a pretty thing. All right. I'm going to go, y'all. I love y'all. Thank you again for today. This is Ben. I'm Stacy. Y'all know this is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Marianne, message me. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm going to go download this before Facebook takes it off. Bye.